Hello and welcome. Welcome back to the Daily Sales Message Podcast. This is episode 104. And that means for at least the last 104 days in a row, I've provided you with a piece of simple and actionable advice that's designed to help you feel more confident and sell more stuff. If you're new around here, my name is James Newell and I teach people how to sell for a living. And for me, it comes in two very distinct components. It starts with having a clear sales message. People have to understand what you're trying to sell to them, and then it comes down to selling confidence, the ability to act and to behave confidently in a selling situation. In this episode of the Daily Sales Message, we're talking about one of these little kind of phrases, the quips that I use with my clients and students, and it's persistence without pressure. And let me explain what I mean by that. When it comes to sales and selling, we feel an immense amount of pressure. I've got to close you, or you're going to close me on the reasons why you don't want to buy, blah, blah, blah. It's a really pressured, uncomfortable, awkward scenario for lots of people to be in. And then we're told to follow up 1,000,000 times because eventually they'll come back to you and they'll buy. You just need to persist. And for me, there's kind of truth in both those things, but there's also kind of not. So when it comes to following people up, I like to use a phrase, don't chase them, replace them. So I'm far more likely to put my effort into finding new potential buyers than hounding and endlessly chasing current potential buyers. We do have to persist a little bit and contact them a little bit, yes, but not to the nth degree. Some people really go crazy. I had somebody famously send me 12 LinkedIn messages over the course of a couple of weeks. I didn't respond to any of them. If I haven't responded to 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 of your messages, maybe I'm not interested. So persistence is important, but persistence without pressure. So every time that guy sent me an email, it was, do you want this? Have you got this? Blah, blah, blah. Time's running out. Da, 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 da. He's trying to apply pressure to me. Now, I don't use pressure when it comes to selling. I don't convince, persuade, cajole, manipulate. I don't do any of these things. I talk to people. I find out if I can help them. I tell them what that looks like, and then they decide to buy, or they don't, and that's it. So persistence without pressure is just a reminder that it's okay to persist, and we have to be a little bit persistent in sales and selling, but we don't want to pressurize or push people. So if you find yourself persisting and you're getting nothing back and it just won't feel right, you will feel this, right? It just won't feel right because you feel like you're making a nuisance of yourself. That's when you need to stop. And when you are persisting, you need to be nice and breezy and simple and straightforward in how you're talking to people, and certainly not bringing in scarcity and threats and all sorts of stuff that I've seen people do. It just doesn't work. So the takeaway for today's session is this, and it has been a session. Persistence without pressure is how we should be approaching selling conversations. We need to persist as much as we can. And we need to talk to people, make a good effort to sell to them, make sure they understand what we're talking about. But at no point do we want to be pressuring, pushing, cajoling, convincing, persuading people at all, because that is when things fall apart. That's it for this episode 104 of the Daily Sales Message Podcast. Tomorrow in episode 105, we're talking about social media handles, and there's a particular hack that is very, very hard to do, but if you can do it, it's very, very cool indeed. But check in with me tomorrow for that episode 105. I will see you then. Thanks for listening to this episode. I'll see you tomorrow.